Hey Triangular Truthers, welcome back to another episode of Manga Madness. This one I think will be a good one that everybody will enjoy, talking about, hearing what I've got to say, having a discussion down in the comments, because I went to see a movie of one of the biggest animes going right now, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, Mugen Train. For me, the excitement of this one was just that I had always wanted to go catch the anime movies when they release them in theaters, but just never could get my work schedule to come around to where I could actually go. So I'd always end up catching them when they've already made it onto Blu-ray, DVD, or onto a streaming service, and I could watch them that way. Which, don't get me wrong, I always enjoyed them, and it's always great to watch them at home. But the theater experience, to really kind of see how the animation is stepped up from the show, is definitely a different experience. So I was really excited to get in there, check this out, because I was a huge fan of the show from last season, and it didn't disappoint. Right from the get-go. Like I said, the animation and the CGI work, stunning. The entire movie, it's seamless between the two. There were times you almost had to ask yourself, was that animation or was that CGI? I mean, they could literally, within the same scene, flow back and forth between the two. And it's really hard to kind of tell the difference. To see, Demon Slayer in and of itself already had great animation to begin with on the show. But now I can see when they give you the movie budgets and they can really step it up for that. This, I want to say, it was almost a 2-hour movie. It's like hour and 45 minutes, something like that. To see them really be able to step it up for that, it was just mind-blowing how great it was. And in typical Demon Slayer fashion, it always offers a great mix of everything. It's not a one-trick pony where it's all action, no substance, or it's just this comedy but there's nothing else. It literally is, it's got action. It's got the deep emotional moments that really rip your heart out, and it's got the comedy that we all know from the series as well. Just between Inosuke in and of itself is a comedic character. But basically what it is they are jumping on a train to help figure out why passengers keep disappearing. And what it turns out to be is there's actually a demon that what they do is they put people in a dream state and then they feed on them that way. They get everybody on the train to fall asleep, and they haven't quite figured it out how it's done yet. They, they can smell, they can sense the evil there, but they're not quite sure, like, where it's at, what's going on with it. And then next thing you know, you see a conductor come through. I thought the conductor was the demon himself because of the way he was acting kind of creepily and the way he was stamping everybody's tickets and everything. And then he gets done with that. Next thing you know, you see everybody on the plane is asleep. Train. You see everybody on the train is asleep, including the demon hunters. And so at that point, I really thought that was the demon. Well, no, you find out that it's actually a demon that has coerced this conductor and some children into doing this to these people, and then he's promised them happy dreams in return. And so that's kind of how he does it. Well, of course, like I said, you get the mixture of everything in these dream sequences. And like our main character, we all know he lost his family. That's why he became a demon hunter. His sister became, of course, that kind of like a hybrid. She is a demon, but she's still good. So I call her kind of a hybrid. I know that's probably not the correct term. It is what it is. But his dream sequences, his family is back alive. He's living with them every day. He's helping them and whatnot. Inosuke's is, he's the leader, and he's like, oh, yes, my servants, blah, blah, blah. And he's hilarious in this one. They kicked his comedy up a notch, but they also gave him a much bigger range. He's still the cocky, hilarious self he is, but you actually do see quite a bit of range of emotion from him, which is great. And then, of course, the new character that they introduced for this, Mr. Rengoku, flat out badass. Like, no lie. Even though, we'll talk about him a little more, but even though you get him for the movie, he's jumped up. He's one of my favorites of all time, just character-wise, because of what he is, what he stands for, the background story they show for him, and why he is the way he is. And even then, and then even being tempted by evil to join them, for him to stand on his ground, on his morals and what he believes. Just one of those characters I felt like I got a good connection with him, and yeah, so I'm kind of gushing. So sorry if I'm fanboying out a little bit on him, but yeah, just badass. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. So eventually, it's figured out that these guys, that they're in a dream. Each of them, well, I should say, our main guy figures it out first, and he does the craziest thing to get himself to wake up. He cuts his own head off, and that's how he gets himself to wake up back to the dream world. And then he's basically trying to figure out how to get everyone else back awake. And then he himself finally comes face to face with the demon. And the demon keeps hitting him with, the sleep sequence. And you see him kind of fall, and then he gets back up and keeps coming. And basically, he hasn't figured it. The demon figures out that, hold on, get myself a little confused. So the demon can't figure out, is what it is, how he's waking up, and then eventually they kind of figure it out. He's cutting off his own head to get back up and wake back up. That's what he's doing every time he gets back in the dream. He's immediately just kind of cutting his head off, and finally everybody else gets awake. They come to help him. And he thinks the fight is over because they all combine together and he cuts off his head. Which, as we know, if you're a fan of the series, when you do that to a demon, that's the end of it. But really, that was just where the trickery really, really got good with this demon. Because at this point, this demon had actually already bonded with the entire train. So, really, that's not the body that he saw. That was not its physical shape. That was just part of the demon and illusion. So at this point, you watch the whole train morphs into this just ugly looking thing with arms growing everywhere. Think of it kind of like when the arms growing out. It's kind of like if you've ever watched Venom and Carnage, like the little arms and stuff like that. Stuff like that keeps coming out. So now it's the demon hunters versus the train, basically, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Where's the head at? And Rengoku basically says, this is how much of a badass he is. He goes, I've got the back 6 cars. You go find out where the head is and take it out. And the hard part in centering it down, of course, is we all know he's got that sense of smell. And he can't lock it down as much because it's all around him at this point. And it's really strong and potent. They finally get up to the engine with the driver and everything. And they figure out that's where the head is. They can finally sense it and this and that. And then so they have the fight where they're trying to figure out how to be able to cut the head off, combining their attacks. The problem is, of course, this demon, anytime you look at its eye, it can hit you with its little thing to put you to sleep. And then somehow Inosuke, it's not affecting him because I guess of his boar mask, and so at that point the eye's not sure exactly where he's looking, so he's just able to fight through it, and he finally does enough damage to where they can go and they get the head open. You see the neck joint, which is basically like right under the engine, going into the steam compartment with the coal, and they finally combine. They get the attack, and boom, head's cut off. You would think that's the end of the movie, and that is not. That was the movie. You had the Mugen train, the fight with that demon. They got it taken care of, and then like the last 20 minutes or so feels like almost like something completely different, because while they're trying to get the people that survived off and safe, one of the really high-level demons, as we all know from the show, makes an appearance, and it's number 3. So you know that this is one of the really strong ones. And what happens after this is easily one of the best, for me, it's like one of the top 2 or 3 fights of all time that I've seen in anime. Period. And it's between him and Rengoku. This is where you really find out how much of a badass Rengoku is. To the point that literally this demon keeps wanting to invite, he tells him, he goes, let me turn you. We can fight for all of eternity. You will have power beyond your imagination, etc. You know, you'll be able to heal this and that. I mean, and I'm talking, you know, you would actually literally think that Rengoku himself is a demon, because he's that much more powerful than all the other 3 that are sitting there. And like I said, best fight. They go back and forth. I mean, it was a little bit like watching Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super when they really get going with the fight scenes. All you're seeing are the kind of the booms here and there. Of course, they've got he's got the sword and this and that, so you're seeing the sword slashes and this and that. You'll see some of the quick power moves, and then this is where, again, the CGI comboed with the animation really comes in, because a lot of the big attacks, you can tell they get into the CGI, but it's so just seamless between the two when they do the big attacks. And then finally, like I said, you know, the fight ends with, it's a bit of a shock, because the way they do everything, you think Rengoku won. He's got his sword in the neck, and you see it start to go through, so you're thinking he's going to win this. And then, of course, they finally back out a little bit, because it's just their faces and the necks. And you see that number 3 actually got his arm, like, just all the way through right here in this part of his body. But Rengoku is still fighting him. Well, finally what he does to, and it, as obviously as an act of a coward, he rips off his arms. And because his regeneration compared to any other demon that you've mainly seen, he can instantly regenerate his arms. So he can break them off and then boom, it's back. That's what he does. But he's still got the sword in his neck. And he finally gets that out, because at this point the sun's about to rise, and Rengoku's not going to let him go. He's like, if I can't cut your head off, you're going to see the sun, you're going to die. This was his way of cheating to get out of it. And that basically, of course, just rips your heart out, because then Rengoku wants to talk to everybody and pass along his knowledge and what he feels all of them are capable of, and tells them never to turn. And just, you know, just kind of a sad ending, but also a good ending for a great hero. You see his mother kind of come down, who had died when he was a boy. That was something that they showed in his dream sequence. And she had always wanted him to protect people, because she told her, the reason why you're so strong is so that you can protect those who are not strong. And it's just this big scene. You finally, he's kind of an emotionally, he's very kind of excitable, but he's very stone-faced throughout the whole thing. And he asks her, you know, did I do it? And she tells him yes. You know, now you can come home. And you see him smile, a little bit of a tear, and you're just like, It's a tearjerker moment for sure. And of course he dies. And that is actually the end of the movie. You know, like I said, just it gave you everything that you could want as far as what you're going to experience emotionally. It gave you the visual experience. It gave you a great story. And it got me super hyped for the next season, because this does segue between, you know, last season and what's coming up. So definitely, I hope you all check it out before the next season comes out, because I wouldn't be surprised if there are things from the movie that if you didn't watch it, you'll kind of wonder, where did that come from when it comes to next season. Like, one of the big things that I'm curious about is when number 3 was escaping. You know, Tomohiro throws his sword at him and basically hits it through his chest. Well, he doesn't get the sword back, so he doesn't have his sword to fight with. So I'm wondering what they're going to do with that. Like, are they going to show that he got a new sword? Is he going to take Mr. Rengoku's sword? You know, because he was wanting to learn more about this dance that his father did, that was the big thing that Rengoku told him, is he should go to his hometown where he's from, to his house, and look up this book that he read as a kid, and maybe that'll have the information about the dance that his father was doing, and he can find out what it's about and what the purpose of it was, and then go from there. But like I said, I'm curious if he'll carry Rengoku's sword with him, and that'll be his sword. And not only will he have the water power that he does, will he learn the fire, because that's what Rengoku was. He had the flame stuff. So I wonder if he'll learn to kind of combine the arts together, and that'll be what makes him so powerful and so special, is that he's not just, one trick pony. He knows them all, so to speak. So yeah. Excuse me, sorry. Anyways, so that is literally everything I've got as far as the movie. Like I said, there are still parts of it that it's hard for me to convey, because I was so just in awe, and especially the fight scene, just speechless watching how that unfolded and whatnot. So as I said, let me know in the comments, did you guys go to theaters and see it? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Did you not enjoy it? And let me know your reasons why down in the comment. Let's have a great discussion about it. As always, everybody, please stay safe, stay healthy. I will catch you guys next time. Later, everyone.